The following program is presented by the Tacoma School of the Arts and is solely responsible for its content. Produced in cooperation with KBTC Public Television, Bates Technical College, and a grant from the PBS NewsHour Student Reporting Labs.
Hello and welcome to Chatterbox with the Tacoma School of the Arts. My name is Sarah White.
Lena Young.
Hi, and I'm Isaac Bullock, and today we are here with Erin Jones. How are you today, Erin?
I'm great. Glad to be here.
Great. Your trip down here was all right?
It was awesome. Beautiful day.
Good. Well, so tell us a little bit about what's going on currently in your life. I mean, I know you're such a busy person, but give us a quick recap.
Well, exactly 1 year ago, I ran for office. I'm the first black woman in the state of Washington to run for a statewide office, and I lost by 1%. But since then, in the last year, I've spoken to 80,000 kids, little over 80,000, and I've trained 20,000 teachers. So I get to be all over the state and now across the country. So I've done my second national speaking engagement. I have a couple more coming up in the next couple months. So I'm really excited about what I get to do.
Bet.
Yeah.
Nice.
So what work are you doing currently? So I am a consultant now. I do school assemblies on motivation, anti-bullying, a lot of MLK. MLK is probably my biggest season, so I think I have 15 MLK assemblies in the first 2 weeks of January. But I also train educators and nonprofits and business folks in getting back to their why. Why is it that you do this work? Because I think if people are really connected to why, they do better work. And then helping them understand, how do you work across many cultures? I speak 4 languages. I've lived in 3 countries, and really helping people figure out, how do you navigate those different spaces and bring people together?
Yeah. So with you being a biracial woman, how does that help you change your views on life?
I think for me, it gives me a really unique perspective. I was raised in a country in the Netherlands where race was not a factor. So I tell people I know what it is to be white because I know what it is to be treated like everyone around me. I also know what it is to be black, especially in this country. And when I came to this country in 1989 for college, I experienced a lot of racism, a lot of prejudice, and I lived in an all-black community. I've lived in all-white communities. I've lived in communities that are really diverse. And I think that allows me to see the world from a really broad perspective. I don't just have one perspective, I have many. And I embrace the fact that I'm both things and many things. I'm multi-ethnic. And I tell people jokingly, I'm from nowhere and I'm from everywhere. And I think it helps me see the world differently.
Yeah.
All right, and so you were an avid administrator, and in one of your quotes, you said you wanted to be a world changer. How was being an avid administrator another step towards your world changer dream?
So I decided I wanted to be a world changer at 9 years old. I met the Princess of Egypt when I was 9. And I had already decided at 9, my best friend was from Israel, and I had another friend from Palestine, and the 2 countries were at war. They have been forever, but I decided before I met the princess that I wanted to solve the Middle East crisis. And when I met the princess, she pointed at me at 9 years old, and she said, "You, Erin, are a world changer." And ever since I was 9, I've known I want to change the world. And I thought I was going to become a lawyer and change the world through the United Nations, but when I came to America for college, I realized that in America, the world needed to be changed through public education. And so for me, as an avid administrator in Tacoma Public Schools, kind of every opportunity I get to be involved in making education better for kids, that's how I see it changing the world. And sometimes it's one kid at a time. But if I can help administrators do a better job in their buildings, then that's thousands of kids at a time. And so to go from being a classroom teacher where I had 30 kids or 150 kids to being an administrator where I was responsible for 13 buildings, that is an incredible opportunity to promote change.
Yeah. Wow. So, you had a pretty good education, when you were young. So what made you want to really focus on the aspect of education of others? And not just where you lived, but here specifically in the U.S.
So I had an amazing education overseas. I went to one of the best schools in the world. Today it costs about $30,000 for kindergarten where I went to school, but I went for free because my dad and mom were teachers there.
Right.
I graduated speaking 4 languages, having played 3 sports in 10 countries. Just an amazing educational opportunity, and so I thought I was going to come to college in America, get my graduate degree, and go back to Europe. That's where I was going to make the difference. My high school was about a mile away from the United Nations World Court. So in my mind, that was how I was going to change the world, get a law degree from Harvard or Princeton, and then go back. But I realized at 19 in Philadelphia, where I went to college, that kids who look like me were not getting a good education. And how dare I go back home where kids were getting, every kid I knew got a great education. How dare I go back home when I had been given so much? And so I made a decision at 19 to not go back home ever and to stay in America and become part of the solution for kids.
One of your quotes, it says, "It doesn't matter where you start, but it's where you finish. Is where you finish." How does that apply to your life and what you're doing now?
Wow. That's probably, what's funny is I've been saying that quote for about 10 years, and I'll have kids find me in malls, literally run down the hallways. You're that lady who said it doesn't matter where you start, it matters where you finish. That is the one thing kids remember more than anything when I give a speech. And I think I tell people all the time, it's how I live my life. I was an orphan at birth, but I've met President Obama. I've played basketball with Dr. J. I've accomplished some really great things. But if I'd allowed my beginning to define where I was going to be, I wouldn't be anything. I lost an election. And if I allowed that to define me, I wouldn't be here today. Right. So it's not about where you were yesterday or last year. It's about where you're going to be tomorrow and next year. And so I seek to live my life trying to make myself better and my community better every day and not getting held up by the things that were challenges behind me.
That's great. So a lot of people have been wondering about your campaign and how it went, you know. So how did you get into politics from being a teacher?
So when I won the Milken Teacher of the Year award, which is kind of like the Emmys or the Oscars for teachers, you get a $25,000 check. It's a surprise. You don't apply for it yourself. Someone has to nominate you. I was invited to come back and work for the state superintendent. So I worked for Dr. Terry Bergeson, then I served on cabinet for the next state superintendent. And I left there about 5 years ago because I felt like just the vision was not the same as mine. And a lot of people, when I left, said, you should come back and run this place. And at the time, it just was not my passion. I've never wanted to be a politician. But about 3 years ago, I had a friend say to me, Erin, we need a champion for kids in leadership. And I'd never run for anything in my life, but I felt like, and I've been saying I want to be a champion for kids for the last 20 years. I need to just throw my hat in the ring. And to be honest, every campaign manager I went to try to hire said I was too young. I didn't have enough experience. I'd never run for anything else. I was female. I was the first Black woman to run. It took four calls to 4 different campaign managers before I could even find anyone to represent me. And I share that because I think you can't stop at the first no. You got to have a big enough dream that the second no and the third no don't stop you, that you just keep going. Exactly, right. And so I've never wanted to be a politician. So people ask all the time, do you want to run again? I don't know. I want to be a champion for kids. And if that means continuing to do what I'm doing now, I'm fine. I'm not against running again, but I also am going to focus right now on what I'm doing right now and be 100% present in the work that I'm doing right now.
Wow, that's awesome. So when you were, when you were younger, working with kids wasn't your go-to. And I heard you tell a story a little while ago about some young adults that were having a hard time, and how did that influence what you do now? Because I know that was a big time change for you.
Yeah, so, as a kid, I never got bullied as a kid. I had teachers who believed in me always. My parents are my heroes. My parents are absolutely incredible people. They're both educators, retired educators now. But when I came to the U.S., I watched kids struggle, and kids your age. My children are just older than you. They're 20, 21, and 22. And I've watched their generation struggle with bullying, online bullying. Now, with the election of Donald Trump, especially students of color on college campuses are really struggling right now. I've spent a lot of time on college campuses in the last year, and it's heartbreaking to see kind of the fear that students are experiencing. And so I love the opportunity I have right now to fly places and to encourage students and to be and not be locked into one thing, but to be able to go to various colleges and high schools and just encourage young people that it may feel like everything's falling apart right now, but you can make a difference.
Exactly.
If I can, you can too. And so I feel like this is such an opportunity right now.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So, because you weren't bullied and you moved out of the States, how did that help you prepare you for moving back here, moving to here?
Well, so I think the challenge for me was when I came to America, it was the first time I was called the N-word. It was the first time people doubted me. And I don't share this all the time, but I actually considered suicide when I was a freshman in college, because I went from having everyone believe in me to having everyone doubt me, purely because of the color of my skin. And it was really confusing to me. I didn't understand it. And I can remember the first time I was called the N-word. I remember a white girl walking up to me on my college campus and saying, you're only here because we have to have 10 of you. That stuff wouldn't bother me now, but at 18 years old in this country by myself, it took away a little piece of myself. Every time I heard the N-word, a little piece of myself shriveled. And I remember at the end of my freshman year praying to God that he would just take my life in the middle of the night. I was too scared to shoot myself, too scared to cut or take pills, but I wanted to disappear.
Wow.
And it was right after that experience, playing basketball in Philly and realizing as I played on a court with a bunch of boys your age, not one of them was still in school, not one of them had dreams for the future. I knew, how dare I consider suicide? I've been given so much, and it put everything into perspective.
Yeah, lined you back up.
Right, and I realized, what, I can't let other people tell me who I am. I can't let other people tell me what I can't do. And that was transformational. I hope to give that to every kid that I come in contact with now.
Yeah. So, working with, as a mom, and kind of going through a lot, your shoulders are a lot stronger now. How do you deal with your, because how many kids have you had throughout your years?
So, students, you mean?
Right, students. Well, or not students.
Personal children.
Yeah, personal children.
So I have two biological children, and they are 20 and 22, and then I have an adopted daughter who's 21. So what's interesting, the 20 and 21-year-old are born the same day.
I knew that. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
but a year apart.
I knew they were a year apart.
Yeah, and my daughter's mom was a Hilltop Crip right here in Tacoma on the Hilltop. Her dad was a Hilltop Crip. Both parents did time. We had the opportunity to take in our niece when she was 6, and then her mother would pass away. And she taught me what it is to work with young people in trauma. I don't know that I would have been as effective as a teacher had I not had her as a daughter. And I'll tell you, she was difficult, and she will tell you that too. She was a hard kid. But at the same time, it made me grow as a mom. And I learned about ways to love people that were different than what I had had to do with my own children. And so my youngest is Asperger and gifted. My daughter probably has some PTSD, and then my oldest one is dysgraphic and ADD. So as a teacher, I feel like I got the spectrum in my house.
The whole spectrum. Right there.
I got to practice in my house with my own kids, and that made me a better teacher.
Yeah.
All right. So during your campaign, a lot of people want to know: is there anything you regret during your campaign?
I don't. No. I think everything happens for a reason. And even the worst parts of the campaign, there are a couple events that happened during the campaign that blew up. But I would say in all of it, I learned so much. And so I don't regret the opportunity to learn and grow in certain areas. And so when I look back and there are certain people that would say, well, do you wish you hadn't said that or hadn't said this? Even the mistakes that I made and things that I said allowed me to become better and allowed me to grow in areas that I may not have even known I needed to grow in. And so I'm absolutely thankful for that, and I think I learned a ton. And I think, I would tell young people, mistakes are part of life, and if we run from them and don't embrace them as opportunities to learn, that's when it's a problem. And so I feel like in all of it, I grew so much and built this new community of people that I never could have imagined before then.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty big. Yeah. I had to take a second to think about that. Wow. Yeah. So because of the weight you've taken on your shoulders, through all your political, do you ever feel like, oh, I wish I just didn't have to talk with, this kind of grace of like you have everything in order? Do you ever feel like sometimes you just want to, not have all this completely in order and be able to
Well, and I think
lose
that's
things?
that's the beauty right now of being me, Erin Jones LLC, and
Yeah.
not running for office. I think the challenge of running for office is you're always under a microscope,
Yeah.
and every single thing you say, people are weighing it in the balance, right?
no matter what you do.
Right. Now I
Yeah.
get to be me, and that's the beauty
Yeah.
of having my own business now, is I
Right.
get to speak my truth, and I don't worry about, okay, what are people going to say about this or that. I still make mistakes today, but I don't feel the weight of it. It's not as if my life is plastered on social media in the way that it was during the campaign, and I love the freedom to just be me.
Right.
And I think that's a beautiful thing, and I would wish that for everyone.
Yeah.
And I'm a unique person. I am a Christian woman who adopted 2 gay kids over the course of our time in youth ministry. We took in, and so I'm this contradiction of terms. We have 2 of our own bio kids and then 1 out of the gang. I mean, so we have
you have a
done
whole spectrum of.
a lot of things. I was telling you all earlier that I'm going to be writing a book with a friend of mine.
Right,
And, she's a tall white woman. We are about the same size, and she was raised Maori in New Zealand. I was raised white in Europe. And we're going to tell the story of you can't judge a book by her cover.
That's awesome.
And that really disrupting those narratives about the assumptions that people make just looking at you. I think that's
Right.
really powerful, and I'm excited to write about that.
Yeah. So as a person who works with school districts and kids especially, there's tons of things on social media, and especially in our political state now about, LGBTQ and all that. What is kind of your stance on that, either personally or in the workforce, is how you take with that, and also being a mother?
Yeah. So my son, who did my hair, is gay, and we've had a really interesting journey with him. So he's been part of our family. He was actually the first graduating class from SOTA.
Oh, that's right.
So,
I knew
so
that.
we've
That's
been
awesome.
connected for 17 years now. He's 32. And so for me, it's been this constant journey of learning with him and watching his own struggles in whether it's finding a partner or whatever it is. And I always try to think about him as I think about work. How do we make sure that every young person, wherever they are, whatever their gender, whatever their sexual orientation, feels like they are valuable and that they have something incredible to offer the world. And so when I go into schools, what's interesting is typically the transgender students and kids who are wondering about their sexuality, when I'm done telling my story, they're the first kids that come talk to me because I think they know I understand being othered. And so because I understand what it is to be othered, I love spending time with those students because I think we all want a tribe to belong to.
Yeah, you're a little
Everyone
group,
wants a
yeah.
tribe. And I know what it is to not have a tribe and to try to be finding my tribe. And so I think we need to do a better job in education of making sure that every kid feels like a tribe. Again, whether it's their race or their sexual orientation or their gender identification, we've got to do a better job as community of making sure that every student feels like they have a place to fit.
Right.
And that we as the adults are not telling them where they fit.
Right.
They get to tell us where they want to fit.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
That's all the time we have today. And it's such an honor that you have been here and we get to interview and get to know you a lot more.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is Chatterbox. Thank you for watching.